As you may have gathered from the title and my little intro, I want to talk about routine. I'm not someone that easily follows a routine.
This is the best mailbox in the Wiest. Look.
I read an essay in this book that I have called 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna Wiest about routine that really made me think about routine in a different way. So I wanted to share that with you while I go through my Peachtober routine. So this is what I kind of do every single day, but as you'll see this very first day, I kind of get thrown out of whack.
Hello, where are you? Are you working from home? I can work from your house. I can't believe I left my keys. No, I'm at right outside the Stoods. I know, and Rocket's in Melbourne who gets back late tonight. If I have to, I'll just meet you at your house. Thank you and goodbye.
Oh!
Every time I touch my bag, I'm like, oh god, I still have these.
How many ahead are you?
I've only got tomorrow's.
This chapter is chapter 2. It's called The Psychology of Daily Routine, and it says that the most successful people in history adhere to rigid and specific routines. And I'm going to skip stuff here. I'm really just paraphrasing. I'm just going to read you what I've highlighted and tell you my thoughts. So if you're interested, go grab this book. It's really good. Routines seem boring and the antithesis to what you're told a good life is made of. What we don't realize is that having a routine doesn't mean you sit in the same office every day for the same number of hours. The point is not what the routine consists of, but how steady and safe your subconscious mind is made through repetitive motions and expected outcomes. So when I think of like my dream life, I don't want to be just going to work every single day. I don't want to be just doing the same stuff every day. When I think about it, I don't want to be doing dishes. I don't want to be doing cleaning, blah, blah, blah. She uses an example where your routine could be traveling to a different country every month. It made me think about the artist way and how like your routine is checking in with yourself every morning with your morning notes. It does a number of things. I think it makes you trust yourself. It makes you trust your ability to keep a routine and to follow through with the things that you promise yourself you're going to do. And it also create space where you're kind of on autopilot and you can think. You're like doing two things at once. You're thinking and you're on autopilot. And I feel like this is what I get into when I get into painting. It's like the flow state. I feel like having routine allows you to access the flow state outside of creative tasks. Hello everyone, welcome back to my studio. This is where we were meant to go yesterday before I forgot my keys. The video was supposed to be about like how I found my routine for Peachtober. It's the 18th and I instantly lost my routine as soon as I started filming. Filming wasn't part of my routine, so then I forgot my keys. Whatever you want your day-to-day life to consist of doesn't matter. The point is that you decide and stick to it. In short, routine is important because habitualness creates mood, and mood creates the nurture aspect of your personality. Not to mention that letting yourself be jerked around by impulsiveness is a breeding ground for everything you essentially do not want. I've never thought about this. I've never thought that habits can create mood and mood creates nurture. Most things that bring genuine happiness are not temporary. And also this makes me think about like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doom scrolling on social media just after I wake up. It's kind of like predetermining what is good for your life and what is not good for your life. The routine helps you stick to what is good for your life, and then you can kind of choose to dip into the more indulgent stuff and dip into the stuff that kind of might be pointless to your goals but makes you happy in the moment. Like routine is kind of about getting what you want out of life in the long term versus like immediate satisfaction from things that are maybe not going to contribute to the life that you want. Routine kind of helps you not have to think about it. Most things that bring genuine happiness are not just temporary, immediate gratifications, and those things also come with resistance and require sacrifice. Yet there is a way to nullify the feeling of sacrifice when you integrate a task into the norm or push through resistance with regulation. Okay, I don't know if this is like a normal thing to know, because I feel like I have never thought about this. I think of chores and like maintenance tasks as things that just get in the way of me doing the things that I want. For example, like I just want to paint all day, or I just want to be in my studio, or I just want to relax at home. But to be able to relax fully at home, my house needs to be clean. To be able to work, I need to have like a functioning studio. And to have those things, I need these tasks to be done. Now, if I push through the point of like, I really don't want to do this, because I feel like a bunch of my time is just spent being like, I don't want to do this. Like, and I'm just like sitting there being like, I have to do it. Like trying to psych myself into doing it. If I just accept that I have to do it, it kind of means that I can get way more done in the day. And it actually only takes a little while. I kind of had this revelation earlier in the year when I was just like, I'm going to clean more. I'm going to set a timer and just do that amount of time and it'll be easy. And that's one of my tricks. Setting a timer is one of my tricks for routine. But I feel like with the tasks I really don't like, I really need to have a strict routine for that, because it's more about discipline than it is about motivation. Kind of like, I feel like I figured all this stuff out for my creative life. I figured out that Like, I love what social media gives me. It gives me a connection to you guys. It gives me like a way to communicate what I'm doing, to share my process so that my process isn't so alone. But what that means is that I have to do 2 tasks at once when I'm painting. I need to like set up my camera, do all this stuff. I have always accepted that as a part of my process because I want the connection that I have with you guys. I want to be able to share my process. And I feel that like if I just had this attitude towards things that I know better in my life that I really hate, then I wouldn't spend so much time just sitting there trying to psych myself into doing it. I would just do it.
Lunch is served. What's he got in us?
Okay, partners.
Where is that?
Okay, so to begin with, we have 2 garlic naan.
Wow.
Oh no, 3 garlic naan and
Oh my gosh.
1 garlic naan. And then we got a really big curry to share. And then I got snacks for later.
What's that?
I got some chips. I got some apples.
Yum.
Blueberries, because they're on sale and they're delicious. And don't forget, a big tub
Oh
of
my
juice.
god! My hero. One is plain.
I think 1 is garlic.
Wow.
Is it like what actually the garlic taste?
Okay, so I finished my piece. Wait, I'll go get it. I kind of rushed it. If I had more time, I would probably fill in some of these scales, but maybe I'd do that in my next crocodile painting. I'm really happy with it, and the sun's still out. Technically, I could do my second piece. However, I actually do have some work I need to do for Lumix, and then I'll spend the rest of the night doing like video editing and stuff like that once the sun goes down, because I use natural light. That's something I had to enforce with myself because of that one year that I made artificial lighting and like never stopped painting all of Peachtober, like through day and night. I use the limitations of the day to make it work. 20 is right. Okay. Easy peasy, easy peasy.
Your habits create your mood, and your mood is the filter through which you experience life. They said that psychologist Robert Thayer argues that moods are created by our habitualness, how much we sleep, how frequently we move, what we think, how often we think it, and so on. The point is that it's not one thought that throws us into a tizzy. It's the pattern of continually experiencing that thought that compounds its effect and makes it seem valid. So sometimes I have this often when I'm stressed about one thing and there's like another just tipping point in my life where I just like have a blow up at something, like have an overreaction about something because I am so dysregulated from these other things. I think that's what they're talking about. Creating a routine and creating parts of your life that is really good allows you the space to like deal with stuff that comes up when it comes up. 2, you must learn to let your conscious decisions dictate your day, not your fears or impulses. I literally do this. I put a star next to this because I literally like live my life through the lens of fear. Like it's so bad. I feel like I will sooner use fear than like positivity. I don't know. I feel like it's effective for sure. Like I feel like I'm like, I don't want to regret not doing this. I don't want to regret not spending the hours doing this. I really need to make this thing, blah, 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 blah. But I feel like that just gives you a life of you're constantly in fight or flight or something. Whereas doing it through the lens of like goals or something like that, or encouraging yourself, is very different. This is why I started, because I literally live my life through the lens of fear.
Hello needs his little butt slapped. See? Oh. Are you hungry?
That's tuna there.
We are going to the Sydney Ceramics Market. I'm so excited. If there's art palettes, I'll get that. Maybe a vase, maybe some plates, maybe some bowls. Maybe a coffee, maybe nothing.
Is there anything we actually need?
No.
Okay, cool.
Oh, the boys.
Hey, hi.
I own this place.
I run this joint.
3, happiness is not how many things you do, but how well you do them. And it made me think of like this Japanese concept of one thing at a time. Let me look that up. Ichigo Ichi, which means one time, one meeting. It describes the concept of being present in all moments. I feel like, you know, when you're in Japan and you're not supposed to like, at least I think I read this once, you're not supposed to eat while you're walking. It's like that. I'll eat while I'm walking here, but I'm not going to eat or drink while I'm walking in Japan. I just feel like it's rude. I think it's about being present. I don't know how significant it is in like contemporary Japanese culture, but I remember hearing this phrase and I was like, oh, that's actually really good. It creates more mindfulness, I think. Here it says more is not better. Happiness is not experiencing something else. It's continually experiencing what you already have in new and different ways. Unfortunately, as we're taught that passion should drive our every thought, move, and decision, we're basically impaired with the fear that we're unhappy because we're not doing enough.
We just got back from the ceramics market. I'll show you what I got. I wish I got more now. Their name is Ashgrain Art. It was probably one of my favorite stalls of the day. First I saw this and I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cute. It's a horse candlestick, how cute. And then I also saw this tiger and I was like, oh my God, so cute. And then I was trying to decide which one, and Rocket was like, let's just get both. And then we got both. Gazai Ceramics. I followed this person on Instagram for a long time. Well, not for a long time, but I've had my eye on the web prior to the market. The other person I didn't know of before. This I thought was such a cute little plate to put like biscuits when you serve like biscuits for guests and stuff like that with coffee and tea. Or like a cake. I thought that was so cute. She also had these plates, which now I wish I got, and they just have like chairs on them. I don't know why I didn't get more. These are the things I was drawn to. I really wanted to be able to get ahead during Petersham so I could go to the ceramics market and make time for things that I wanted to do. Tomorrow we're celebrating Robert's birthday early with his family, so you'll probably see that. I'll probably come to the studio in the morning because we're seeing him in the afternoon. I shall take along to the festivities. So today I do want to finish at least one painting and get ahead on my content. I would love to do two, but I just don't know if that's going to happen.
Number 4 is when you regulate your daily actions, you deactivate your fight or flight instincts because you're no longer confronting the unknown. Basically, it says here that fear instincts are turned off long enough for you to actually enjoy something if you have routine. They say here also it's why people have such a difficult time with change. I am literally that person. I really have a difficult time with change. And if routine allows me to be fine with change, maybe that's what I need. I know I could take it too far and just have like a really rigid routine, but I don't mean that. I just mean like in the artist way when they talk about having an artist date with yourself once a week, or checking with morning notes. My practice, it could be making sure I create something once a day.
What's this?
It's lunch.
Thank you, my sweetheart.
No worries.
I saw this video where this girl did like the Carle routine of like, Eric Carle's the person that wrote and illustrated The Hungry Caterpillar. His daily routine was something like get into the studio, have breakfast, do some art making, have lunch, do some writing for picture books, have something else, then go back to art making. And I think that's something I really want to adopt because sometimes I get very deep in like the admin of the work that I do and the social media side of the work that I do, and even like the video editing side and video making side of like the YouTube part of what I do. And I feel like then I lose the painting side, and it's something that I love about Peachtober is getting to paint every single day. So I think if that's what I want, and it's something I can incorporate now, why don't I? What are these invisible barriers that have me not doing that? Number 5, as children, routine gives us a feeling of safety. As adults, it gives us a feeling of purpose. I found this so interesting. Purpose equals safety for adults. Unknown equals fear. This is what I've written down as a note. Interestingly enough, those two feelings are more similar than you think. At least their origin is the same. It's the same thing as the fear of the unknown. As children, we don't know which way is left, let alone why we're alive, or whether or not a particular activity we've never done before is going to be scary or harmful. When we're adults engaging with routineness, we can comfort ourselves with a simple idea of, I know how to do this, I've done it before.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my studio. It is the morning after again. Yesterday I started the sketches for Greenhouse, which is what I want to paint today, but I haven't finished, so I'm going to get straight into that. I've already done the hashtag. I have 5 hours to do this plus my reel, and I think I can do it, so we'll just have to see. This is where I'm at for the greenhouse piece. I don't really love it for some reason. I like the idea of watering this miniature greenhouse that's filled with trees, but I don't love the character, I think. So I'm gonna try and play and see if I can make maybe a younger character that is on top of like a bunch of rocks or something like that to make her as tall, because it needs that height for the watering can.
Now, another thing I thought is that having a freelance business where I'm doing freelance illustration, I'm doing content creation, I'm working with different clients all of the time, routine is so important because I lack more routine and predictability than someone that does a 9 to 5. Yes, I have more flexibility, but I lack that routine, which I think grounds people's weeks. I don't have that. Rocket's also freelance full-time, so his routine is completely different, and his is even crazier than mine because my projects go for like days and weeks sometimes. His goes like, it's in a day he's shooting and the next day he's editing. It's like so fast, different clients all the time. And also sometimes he works weekends, sometimes he works like night times. It depends on the job. For me, like, because my jobs are a bit longer, I can craft my routine a bit better. I can say I don't want to work on weekends unless I have to. I can say I really want to go home at like 6. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much easier for me to have routine than Rocket, but for me to have routine is so much harder than someone with maybe like a full-time job that is like at an office. So I think I need to sit down and be like, what are the things I want in my life, and then reverse engineer the routine that I need to create to get there by adding things I want that add to that goal and adding things that I don't enjoy. That means I can be on autopilot while doing those tasks and it doesn't feel as laborious as it does now. I think some of the things that I do and the tricks that I have are more band-aid solutions to getting the routine. So for example, treating myself in the way of like getting a bubble tea and then starting work. Like, is it that I don't have enough energy? Can I go to the gym that morning, do a class, and make sure that I have more energy? Maybe I have a routine so that I'm not giving into every single impulse of, I want bubble tea now, because it's so easy to want, as opposed to like, oh, I want to treat myself now. If you're giving into every single impulse, it feels less like a treat and kind of more like a habit.
Happy birthday, dear Rocket. Happy birthday to you. Hooray!
You feel content because routine consistently reaffirms the decision you've already made. I've written down here that it builds self-assurance, and it's something like in the artist way where you're doing your morning note. It's a non-negotiable. How I was treating routine before was like this. It was like, oh, I should do this because it's good for my life, without really thinking like, if I don't do it, what will the effect be? Like, consistently doing this will make me have this and give me this, as opposed to like, oh, I should do it. I know I should, but I wasn't actually really thinking ahead and being like, what life does it create for myself if I get to do this?
Hello everyone, I just got to the studio. Hashtag is done. I'm gonna restart this piece, or not restart, I'm going to jump back onto this piece. I basically only need to do some line work on the details to give it some more like definition, and then like the water rushing out of this, and then it's done. And then I'm moving on to the next one, which happens to be, where are we up to? This is greenhouse, so village is next. I need to get party done before Rocket's birthday, and then everything else can be done on the day.
7. As your body self-regulates, routine becomes the pathway to flow. The flow state is something that I found through creativity and like my creative practice, but imagine having that elsewhere. Like, I feel like when I cook, I also have flow if I'm like not following a recipe, if I'm just like chill and I know what I'm doing. And having that flow state as much as you can in your life, I think can only be good for your mental health and can only be good for like your body. And when they spoke before about like your habits create your mood and your mood is a filter through which you experience your life. I feel like if you're in the flow state all the time, you have less worry. And if you're less worried, when stuff that is actually worrisome comes to you, you can like assess it and deal with it in the best way possible. And part of my fear is that if something bad happens, I won't be able to do it in the best way, which is why I worry so much, I think. But that's like really not the best way to be approaching that. It's how I've approached it for like the last decade, but it's a really bad, quick way in my mind to be able to like feel reassurance. It's really not healthy. 8. When we don't settle into routine, we teach ourselves that fear is an indicator that we're doing the wrong thing rather than just being very invested in the outcome. A lack of routine is just a breeding ground for perpetual procrastination. It gives us gaps and spaces in which our subconscious mind can say, well, you can take a break now, when in fact you have a deadline. But if you're used to taking a break at that point in time, you'll allow it simply because you always do. See, here I don't know if they're saying like it's good to like creating routine means that when you take breaks you feel guiltless, or it's saying you give into the impulsivity of like, I need a break now because I do all the time. I just take that break, which is kind of what I do with the BBT example or like little treat example. I really, really found that interesting when they said that we teach ourselves that fear is an indicator that we're doing the wrong thing rather than just being very invested in the outcome, because fear can just be nervousness that it won't work out but you really want it to. Interpretation of that being fear as opposed to nervousness that you really want it to work out can stop you from doing something because you're like, oh, this is a bad sign. My gut feeling says it's not good. Indifference is like what it would be if it didn't really matter, but clearly it does matter. You're just at a point where you're worried that it's not going to happen. I don't have it all together. Like, this is why I like was so struck by this chapter, but I've definitely, for a lack of routine, I've definitely created ways to trick myself to get myself to do a task where routine could have maybe made me do it in the first place, because clearly I can follow routine if I'm interested. But I just want to share little tricks with you in case you find it really difficult to have a routine. One is to set a timer. It's the Pomodoro method, and basically it means that you're setting a 20-minute timer, and every 20 minutes you take a 5-minute break. So you're giving yourself the option to have a break so that when you're working for that 20 minutes, you're really, really, really working and being efficient. That is one way to look at it, but the way that I actually use it is to race the clock. So I'm like, and also keep time. I'm basically seeing how much I can get done in 20 minutes, and I know that the task that I'm assigning myself is within slots of 20 minutes. So if, say, it's a short task, like I know I have to get it done by the time the timer runs out, it helps me keep time, which I can lose track of sometimes, but it also helps me race the clock and create a game out of the boring task.
Hello everyone. Okay, so today's a new day. I'm a little bit stressed because I just have a bunch of stuff come through. Like, I'm really bad at juggling things. Like, for example, if I'm in the middle of a task and another task comes through, even if it doesn't need to be done then and there, it like really stresses me out because I feel like I'm like, oh crap, I have to do that now. So basically I have to do one painting today, and is that it? Like, do I even need to do the reel? I don't know if I have to do the reel, but I do have to get the script I wrote the other day for Lumix sponsored content, and so it's just like stressful because it's all come at once, and then I have a book deal to go through. And like, these are all good things because I'm like busy. I think what I'm stressed about is doing things in the best and most efficient order. That's what makes me anxious about having so many tasks come through at once. So if I just do painting first, which I know I have to do when the sun's out, at least that's getting something done and hopefully getting on to the next task. And just, even if it's not in the exact best order, it's better to start it than to do nothing. I don't really feel like doing it though, because I feel like my mind's elsewhere. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
A little treats are something that like really get me through. Sometimes I actually am like, I just have to go home. I've been working long enough to know the feeling of, I know I'm not going to do anything right now. Sometimes if I'm like, okay, I'll just go get myself a bubble tea. By the time I come back, I'll have a little sippy, I have treated myself, and I'll feel motivated. It'll be like a bribe essentially. Sometimes this can be like a little band-aid situation, but in a pickle, if you really, really need to get something done and you have to turn to this, like, do it. It's also nice to treat yourself, but I think I use it more as a band-aid solution. Instead of like creating systems in my life to be able to get stuff done in like an easy way, I feel like I just kind of do the band-aid thing, like just a little treat, and then I like do the rest of my work for the day. This can be anything. This can be a pastry. This could be going to a cafe in the morning. You've treated yourself. Now you're gonna get a really productive day done. The third one is third spaces. Like, apparently we need a third space. We've got home, we've got work, and a third space is what we need, or something to function as a human, or something like that, or to be happy. This was really prevalent when we were living in the warehouse. So we were living and working in the same space, and sometimes that was a little bit suffocating or a little bit claustrophobic. And so if we could take work to another third space, aka a cafe, we did. You can incorporate the little treat into that, like aka going to a cafe, but you could also go somewhere free, like a library that has like Wi-Fi and comfy seats and tables. Sometimes just being in a different space really helps. And I'll do that if I have sketchbook work, if I'm working in a journal, planning tasks, or something that I can do on my iPad, then I will do it. Otherwise, if I have to do desktop work, scanning or anything like that, video editing or painting, I'll have to be in the studio. But if I can take that opportunity to be at home or at a cafe or at a library, I will do that. Or at a friend's house, I will do that, like what happened in this video. It just helps like snap you out of like the feeling of despair, and kind of just like, I don't know, it makes me feel better. I don't know if that's works for everyone, but for me it really, really helps. And the last one is to-do lists. I freaking love to-do lists. If you've seen my video on my secret to productivity, you know that to-do lists rule my life. I think it's another way to gamify my life, because it just feels like, oh, another little task, another little task. When I receive like a whole project and I've got 2 or 3 projects going at once, getting everything I need to get done seems like a mountain of a task. It seems massive. But if you break all of these projects into small tasks, it becomes a lot easier. When you're doing multiple projects at once, you'll have a lot of different little tasks. And if it's not like a linear project, it means you can do whichever one you want to do first. Sometimes the hardest bit is starting. So just starting is like the first key to like building that momentum and getting through those tasks. It's like such a good trick. And like, once I start, like, I'm not thinking anymore. I'm just kind of going through my day, and it's so much easier. And I think that's what they're talking about routine, getting into the flow state. Start of the week to-do list Monday, and then every day pulling those tasks from that bigger to-do list into my smaller bite-sized lists. Other parts of my routine, I like go to Nate's house on Tuesdays, feeding Tonka at like 6. That's literally the only routine that I have in my life. Three things that are very small. I could incorporate more of those. Those are easy. I can incorporate cleaning into every day. I can incorporate making sure I'm cleaning the dishes, like making sure I'm cleaning the cups that are in my studio from that day straight away that night, unless I'm like really rushing off. But then I guess it's not routine if I'm like, if I'm really rushing off. I just wanted to share this with you because like, one, the topic of the video is routine, and two, it really changed my perspective on routine and like how routine can actually be fun and healthy. Obviously I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be like, oh, it can really just like give you the life you want. I was like, oh, I know I should, but I didn't know like, oh, I can have my dream life if I do routine. What are systems that you can create for yourself that match your way of working, that don't have to be like what you typically think of when you think of routine, but that are something that helps you achieve the things that you want? I think that's it. If you have any thoughts on routine or anything that was said today, like please, this is a conversation. I love when you have dialogue and we have back and forth, because you guys hear from me all the time, but I hardly ever hear from you in long form, and I would love that. I want to say a big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video as per usual. You guys know that Squarespace is the best all-in-one platform for building your website. There's this art director that I follow on TikTok, and she can tell when you don't update your portfolio enough, your work isn't up to date because it doesn't look like the stuff that you're posting elsewhere. And so it's really, really important to do that because it kind of is indicative of your discipline as well. And if they haven't seen your work elsewhere and they're only looking on your website, that is the work that you make. Whatever's on your website is the work that you make to the people looking. I think a routine that would be really helpful for me is to build the routine of when you finish a project, create the assets that you'd put on your website, write a little thing and save it somewhere so that when the project is live and you can share it, you can put it straight up. That means it's like the barrier of entry is really, really low. That's the hard part. Squarespace makes it so easy to upload stuff to your website, update your website. Like I've used other website building platforms in the past and it's been like an eye roll to be able to change my website. This is like so easy, plop it in and it's done skis. Like if you're starting from scratch, you're just picking a theme or you're using Squarespace Blueprint to build a website. The thinking time is where things get complicated and they've taken a lot of the guesswork out of building a website. So it's just really like a seamless, lovely experience. If you've never tried Squarespace before, go to squarespace.com/furrylittlepeach. You get a free trial and 10% off your first purchase. Thank you, Squarespace. Have you been seeing my shorts? I've never posted a short before this Peachtober period, so I want to know what you think. I know they're like a bit more low res than my other, like than my reels and my TikToks, but that's not my fault. That's a shorts problem, not a Sha'an problem. Anyway, I'll see you very soon, guys. Bye.